any sense, do you feel like Clemson right now is competitive in terms of the baseball NIL sphere, or do you have catch up to do with other programs nationally?
So it's I mean, the landscape is crazy. It's different rules for different states and different schools. So, you know, this is why it seems to be like the rules are changing daily and the goalposts are moving all the time. But depending on, you know, what state you live in governs your NIL laws of that state. Obviously creates a kind of a weird dynamic that some states are able to run their NIL initiatives through their version of IPTE, and you know, South Carolina, we don't have those state laws currently in place, so we don't. So it's the burden is on the individual donors to raise that money and help support. But yeah, it's just a kind of a crazy environment right now, and I think there's a lot of entities trying to get their arms around it to control it, because I think people recognize that, you know, it feels like it's not contained right now. And so the IRS coming out and basically saying a few weeks ago that these companies, these collectives and these NIL companies are, you know, don't meet their 501c3 status, and now the money going in is not tax deductible or taxable gift. That's a big impact. And so you know, it's just you got student athletes searching and wanting the help and wanting to help themselves and help their families. But yeah, I do think there needs to be and look, Clemson's working on it and working hard at it, but we're also following the rules and doing it the right way. And there's coaches out there managing a discretionary fund and using it for player acquisition, which last time I checked was not supposed to be how it was not supposed to be permissible. But you know, that's neither here nor there. But I think we're gonna, whatever we end up with, wherever we land on, we'll be doing it the right way, and it's why it's gonna be sustainable for us, because it's gonna be very thought out.
I guess I don't think you can talk specifically about transfers. I don't think you've signed here yet, but
right.
Do you have a figure, kind of an idea of how many you have committed and how you know, deep that transfer class will actually be?
Yeah, we have 7 committed. We'll have 20 new players. It's a big class for us, for sure. But we identified a lot of needs, and there was some roster expansion legislation this past year that takes our roster up to 40, and so you know, we'll have a very competitive team, and just identified some needs in the transfer portal that we targeted, and once those guys went in, we knew we needed that position or that guy or that type of player, that, you know, whether it was a pitcher or a position player, we knew what we were looking for, with the expectation that you know, we were going to lose our entire infield and, you know, Ryan Ammons and guys like that. Now, getting a guy like Blake Wright back, you know, that's a luxury item, you know, to have a senior come back, could have signed, decide to come back. You know, getting guys back like that, Nick Clayton coming back, Rob Hughes coming back, you know, those are guys that we weren't sure, you know, what was going to happen. But those are maybe the biggest additions to our program, is the retention of those types of guys, because they've got experience in our program and had a lot of success in our program.
With that said, what was, if you don't mind asking, what was the situation with Billy and why he decided to leave?
Yeah, Billy's a great hitter, and you know, I think there's probably a lot of things that went into it for him personally, so I don't want to speak for him. I think for me, it just, you know, we didn't want him to go, but obviously we wish him all the best, and he's an elite hitter and he had an elite year, and so, you know, hope he continues to find that success.
Have you spoken to Caden Bryce at all since he signed, and what were your conversations like with him?
Yeah, he's been here, he's been around, he's even worked camp. You know, Caden's, I got a random email. This just speaks to Caden's. I got a random email from someone that was out in Greenville, and Caden was at a restaurant out in Greenville and took the time to meet this guy's family and take pictures with his daughter and was all smiles and went out of his way, and just, you know, Caden is one of those guys. I mean, he's a generational type of talent to do what he did on both sides of the ball here, but he's an even better dude. And I saw that constantly with him, of how he would just invest his time with some of the younger kids and always signing autographs, and always with a smile on his face, and never looked at it as like as a have to. It was more of a get to. And I think the future is very bright for him. He's going to have a long, successful career as a major leaguer. So we're all excited for him to start that next chapter. But he is someone that just I've been more than impressed with his family, just how he's been raised, the type of kid that he is, and how he continues to, you know, shift the target off of him and brighten the day of other people.
What are your thoughts on Will just making a full commitment to baseball now?
Yeah, that I got to be honest, I didn't know that was coming, and didn't expect it, quite honestly. And Will was very thought out, because, you know, like he said, he had the most unique opportunity of all the student athletes at Clemson to get to do two sports, and do two sports well, be champion in two sports. That's an amazing opportunity. But I think he looked at things from a long-term lens and realized that, you know, he's a true professional prospect in baseball, and also is one of those guys that you know, has the potential to play this game for a long time and make a career out of it. And I just appreciate the way he and his family you know, thought through it. And it was a very, you know, went through a long process to come to that decision. And I just appreciate he and his dad. I had breakfast with he and his dad up in the Cape, and you want to talk about solid, salt of the earth people. That's an incredible family, the Taylor family, and that was awesome to get to spend some time with them up there.
What kind of difference could that make for him to go, you know, now he's 365 baseball, and how can that help him on the baseball diamond?
I think anything, no matter what your craft is, if you devote more hours to it, you accelerate the development. So I think for him, he's just looking at it as, all right, I got this good playing half the year. How good can I get playing full time? So I think he is very much looking forward to being a baseball player for the first time. It's the first time he's going to specialize after 20 years old, and you know, so he's one of the latest to do that. You know, and so yeah, I think he's looking at this being an accelerant for his career, because he's now gonna, all the things that go with that, how he trains, how he lifts, you know, the mental game, all the fall sessions in here, but just being able to narrow his focus just on the one sport, and how he develops and recovers his body that way, I think will be beneficial for him.
And is that also a case study in the 11.7, and that he was a full ride for football, and now you've got to add him into that 11.7 mix?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, and that's one of the reasons I appreciate his dad and him, is they didn't make that the main thing. And there are a lot of people out there that, you know, that was the main thing, and it's all about the money. And for them, it wasn't about the money. They're looking at it more long term, where the real money is on the back end. It's him being a professional player and having a long major league career. He wasn't looking to, you know, at the money as a short-term thing. And I really appreciate the way they went about that thought process. So yeah, we're going to try to help him out for sure. But again, this was a 11.7. It's, you know, 11.7 is always like this floating number, because you don't know who's coming in, who's coming out. But we will do everything in our power to make sure we can help him out. But that may be a situation where, you know, he would be a great candidate to get some NIL dollars to help cover cover that difference.